Every old project requires a little bit of TLC, but more importantly is time. So in this video I'm going to showcase the amount of time I've spent, invested over the past 5 weeks, every single day after work, including weekends. Yes, there's been a couple of days here and there that I've had to recuperate and calm my nerves. It hasn't been the easiest of journeys, however it's been very, very rewarding. So in a previous episode we introduced the old goat to the channel. One thing that's really prevalent at this day and age is they don't make things like they used to. And if you want an upgrade, you've got to take yourself back in time. And in this episode, we're going to update you guys on what we've done to get it at this current state. So let's get straight into it. So just touching on the most obvious thing is the bull bar. So I fabricated a bull bar system for the front of the 80. Looks a lot better, a lot cleaner. We gave it a good sanding down and took the whole bumper off, took the winch off, serviced the winch, and gave everything a really good lick of paint. This has been Raptor coated. Nice durable paints. We also fabricated some antenna mounts for both sides. I think the bumper will go through a transition of changes at some point. I'm not 100% happy with the bumper as it is right now, so I think I'm going to be fabricating a whole new bumper system for the front. That will come in a future episode. So we also chucked on some steady work lights. These really help with the headlights. These are obviously on a different switch, so I can operate them whenever I need them at night. As you can imagine, the old 80s, their headlights are like candles, which are horrendous. So these things are really, really helpful. And then we changed out the nasty looking hook on the winch. We tied it up the front end, put a factor 55 fair lead and the factor 55 ultra hook on there. So she looks nice and clean now from the front. And I'm really liking the black and red pearl theme. It's really grown on me. I was sort of tempted on changing the entire color of the truck, but I really like how everything's starting to come together. The side steps, again, so we're just following that, the Raptor coat, the black theme all the way through. We just apply some Raptor coat on these to give them just look a bit cosmetically better, more appealing to the eye. And then we just follow the same thing around to the tire carrier. So that really needed some TLC. Again, sanded it down, repainted everything and remounted the works. Same with the rear bumper, just tied it up a few areas. That's what we've done there. That's basically what we've done to the exterior body wise. I'll take you to the motor and see what we've done there, the roof, and then we'll have a look at the underside of what we've done there as well. Right, some motor work. So if you watched the previous episode, you would have noticed the motor was quite dirty in a lot of areas. The airbox, that's been totally stripped down, repainted. A lot of the wiring has been renewed, stripped out and neatened up. We have put in an accessory panel. That is in the truck now, so that's really, really handy. That's tied into the 80 series accessory box just over there, the same thing. So it just gives me a little bit more expansion when it comes to electrical accessories. We just tidied up the air intake, just repainted the turbo, cleaned up all the pipe work, and a lot of the engine bay has been cleaned up all around and it's come up really, really good. The full service has really helped the motor. She is running a little bit rich at the moment, so I suspect that we might need to change the piston rings on the old girl. She's currently at 178,000 miles, so I think that's just shy of 300,000 or just over 300,000 kilometers. So she's done really well, so she will benefit from getting some engine work done, and that'll be done I think next year. I'm just going to see how things go at the moment. Apart from that, everything else has been relatively good. I have started changing out sort of the factory bolts for stainless steel ones, just to sort of neaten up the engine bay area, trying to keep everything one size. Obviously, the bolts that are in more sort of trickier locations, I'll leave those to normal hex bolts, because you benefit from using a socket instead of an Allen key. So anything that's really reachable, easily reachable, we've changed that to a Allen stainless steel M8 bolt, all the way along the sides here. Just neatened up the whole side of the motor, which is really nice. We're going to renew a lot of these pipe work, as obviously the age is starting to tell on the pipe work and a lot of the wiring. In terms of the motor, that's most of the stuff we've done. Changed a lot of the oils. Brake system, we've completely bled through the entire brake system. The oil was really bad, including the clutch master and slave cylinder. Those were replaced. That's made a huge improvement on the clutch and how that feels. And we also adjusted the booster on the pedal. So when changing, especially on your clutch system, when changing your master and your slave cylinder, make sure that your pedal setting within the cab is to spec, if you need to adjust that, because sometimes when you change that, you don't really benefit from much of a change. But by changing the clutch booster from the pedal side, it's really helped the clutch, and she takes so much smoother. The gears are amazing. We changed the gearbox oil. That's been changed. That's made a huge improvement again. And we just renewed some of the piping, the vacuum piping for the turbo and the gauges, and also for the diesel pump. So what we've also done on the diesel pump, this was quite an easy one to do. So if your 80 is a little bit lazy and she needs a little bit of a boot up the arse, what you can do on the diaphragm up here is basically there's a diaphragm underneath this cap. You can, before you change any settings, just mark sort of like a home setting or a factory 0 setting, and then you can basically turn it either clockwise or anti-clockwise, depending on what your current settings is. And what that does is that'll deliver more fuel through boost, and that's really perked her up, really helped. And then we also changed a little bit of the fueling, so she has sort of livened up, which is really nice. She's an absolute joy to drive now. She's got loads of power, and she will benefit from an intercooler upgrade. I think this is what we'll do in the near future, is definitely get an intercooler and keep those EGTs down. I don't do too much towing or a lot of sort of traveling, but I think from how she's running now, she will highly benefit from obviously a little bit of engine work and a intercooler. We also got rid of the diff breather pipes, the blue ones that were in this area, and we got the ALB diff breather kits. That's nice and sort of located on the side of the engine bay there. Looks a lot neater, a lot better. All new piping throughout both sides, and that's really neaten up the engine bay. Okay, another obvious change on the 80 is the roof rack. So the obvious choice for myself was front runner. I did have a look at other racks on the market. So there's ALB, there was what other ones that are here, the ALB base rack, the ALB sort of deluxe racks. We had a look at the front runner, and there was a different rack I had a look at, and it just made complete sense to have the front runner. I ran the system on the Ranger. It was simple, it worked, it was tough. The only thing I will say on the front runner roof racks, they're great products. However, the paint on the products is really thin. So just keep an eye. If you are living in an area, especially that has a lot of salt on the roads during winter time, make sure you wash your rack down as much as you can, or apply some form of protective coating over especially over the front edges of either your rails and on the front edge here. And these corners tend to bubble up and go first, so I tend to Raptor-coat those as time, just before winter sort of time goes by. They tend to stop bubbling up, so I try and catch it before that happens. And then I migrated the Steady SD4 dual light bars. I love these on the Ranger. I love the look of them, so they've followed straight onto the 80. And we've got our recovery boards just on the top there. I'll say these are probably not the most accessible in the middle there. I just needed a bit of space in between, so if I chuck my swags on the roof, I've got some sort of space there they can be obviously tied down to. I think ultimately those recovery boards are going to find their way onto the new rear bar that I fabricate in the coming months. I think it'll be a lot suitable on the rear bar, more accessible, and it just makes sense. It just frees up a lot of the space on the roof rack, and that's what I need. Obvious choice for awning is the Tough Trek Speedwing. This thing is amazing. I love this awning. It's been on my truck for about 2 years now. The quality is outstanding. The ease and everything about it is amazing. The price, everything. So if you're looking for a 270 degree, have a look at Tough Trek's website. This thing is really, really good. And I've just integrated a light in there if you don't already know that. So this has found its way straight onto the 80. And on the other side, we've put the shovel, we've got the bottle opener, shovel, and we've got the high lift jack. That's there, especially for an 80. She's got a lot of weight on her. So high lift jack points on the front bumper, we've already got those. And then the rear bar that we fabricated will have high lift jack points as well. So she's a big old girl, she's heavy, she carries a lot of weight. So we need something that's gonna lift this old girl if we do run into any sort of tire problems in the future. So let's have a look underneath what we've done there and what we've tackled. Okay, the underside of the 80. Now, she did need some good TLC, especially the front diff. The diff was in a really, really sad state. She was leaking a lot of oil. When we took her for the MOT, the guys did point out there was a lot of play on the output shaft. That really worried me. I was suspecting like either, you know, broken teeth on the main ring gear. And I'll show you a small little snippet of what the actual bearing looked like and how much movement there was. It was quite bad. That was all replaced. So we replaced the output bearing, got new bolts, got a new whole sort of kit from Rough Tracks, got a new sort of wheel gaskets, bolts, you name it. So basically the whole front end in terms of gaskets, grease, that's all been redone. And she doesn't leak a drop of oil, which is amazing. Really stoked about that, and really grateful for all the help that Al and Dalen gave me down at Al & Sons Mechanics down in Ferrum. They really helped me with that side of things. They've always worked on my trucks from my Ranger now to my 80, and they've always done an amazing job. So huge thanks to those guys. That's all repaired. So what I did in the meantime to still use the 80, I just removed the front prop shaft, and basically they just created a freewheeling hub sort of effect on the front and didn't put any sort of pressure, unnecessary pressure on that rear output bearing. So, and that was actually quite good, because when I got the front prop shaft out, I changed the UJs on both the front and the rear and repainted the prop shaft in Raptor Coke, a nice durable paint, and they look great. It feels so good driving the truck now. She's so smooth, which is really good. One thing that we also did is we tackled, especially with the 80s, as time goes by, the actuators on these diff locks, they do tend to slow up, give you problems. The electrical connections aren't as durable as they used to be. So we didn't replace the plugs, it basically rewired all the plugs, fresh new wiring in the plugs. The rear diff lock has got brand new plugs in the back because we had a couple of broken cables on there and on the front. So I rewired that. That's all been done. The actuators have been serviced, re-greased. The internals are in really good shape. So I'm happy and really pleased about that. Ultimately, underneath, she's in decent shape. There's still obviously surface rust in areas that we still need to tackle. We have applied some Raptor coating in areas to see the difference, and the difference is obviously night and day. It's a really good coating, so we need to get some more of that stuff. I want to do a good job. I really want to get into every nook and cranny, make sure it's all protected. As you can imagine, if we do water crossings and just normal sort of daily driving, the water and the salt and all the grit and dirt gets into all these little open areas, so we need to make sure that the entire chassis, all the rails, internally and externally, is all protected sufficiently. We did wash this 80 about 1,000 times underneath to get all the dirt, grime, oil off the body and off all the components, and that's made a huge difference. The gearbox is actually silver now. That used to be like a horrible brown, dark, oily color, so that's all been cleaned up. Still needs another sort of couple of washes, as you can imagine. And the rear axle still needs a good lick of paint. So that is a huge project. So I have to rip out the whole axle. It's got to be shot blasted. A lot of the components have to be renewed, such as the brake line. So, which is a nice, fun little project to do. The sway bar, got a couple of things to do on there. So there's still a nice list of things to do. But at the moment, she's in really good fighting order. So the rear of the 80, we've stripped out a lot of the stuff at the back. We kept the front runner drawers for now, so they're going to stay for a little while until we figure out exactly what we want to do and where everything's going to go. The electrical system has all been stripped out. Again, we've got a solar panel, a C-Tech battery charger, and a leisure battery to come in here, so we just got to figure that the mechanics around that. In terms of the cable routes, we want to make sure things are nice and neat. I don't want to have to go over things again, so I want to try and future-proof it to a certain extent. But overall, at the moment, there's a lot of tools and stuff in here, just so when I'm working on the truck, I've got access to the tools quite quickly. So I've got my recovery box there that's ready to go, oil and bits and pieces. So that's really sort of tied it up. It's kind of given it a little bit of a clean slate. And what's really helped out for sort of evening, I've chucked one of the Makina night lights here on a sort of dimmer switch that just really illuminates this whole area, which is really cool. And you can change it to a red, which is quite cool, or a combination of both, and you can just obviously adjust the dimmer and then off. So that is hooked straight up to the car's electrical system, and that's really helpful for this sort of work area. This still needs to be changed, but that will come in a sort of future episode when we decide what we're going to do to this. Either a storage, a sort of a working surface area, food preparation area. We're kind of a mixed bag of things here. Obviously, the side windows, I want those changed to like either a Yoda Tech, but they need to be some form of gull wing. There is a chap here in the UK he does make gull wings for the 80 series. I will need to try and twist his arm to if I can get a set off him. Another thing that I have designed is a shelf system that will be going up in sort of this area. So as you can imagine, when you've got your drawer system going on in here, there's a lot of dead space in this sort of upper area. So we want to try and utilize that as much as we can. So I've got a nice little shelf system that I've designed. So that'll get laser cuts and folded up, and then that will just basically just bolt straight into the factory point. And we will change that sort of load cage area for the same similar design. So I'll change that so everything sort of matches color-wise, theme, and all the way through into the drawers. We've got a fridge ready to go, so we just need to figure out where the fridge is going to live, either the right side or the left side, and how that's going to integrate into the sort of the living space or the work area on the bar. So with a new bar, I've got a couple of ideas. Tire carrier, we've got another swing out carrier that's going to come out this side, so we might have a drop down table here just to extend that work surface. So the great thing about this is it's a blank canvas right now, so which is good. So if you guys have any ideas, please share them with me. I have been scouring the internet and been looking around. Some of you guys have got some amazing ideas, amazing things that you guys have done to your 80s, which is really good. I really enjoy seeing all that kind of stuff. The ingenuity is really cool, and especially the creativity some of you guys come up with, the components and stuff you guys fit into your 80s. So this is all new to me, which is really good. So overall, really happy with everything so far. So that's pretty much the 80 series so far, what we've done. It's still in its infancy in terms of modifications and what it will become in the coming months. So the most important thing for any sort of restoration project is work on the mechanical side of things. I'm not trying to teach anybody to suck eggs, but that was the most important thing to me, was make sure the mechanical side of things, the electrical side of things on the engine, the chassis, the running gear, everything was in good shape before we spent any further time on fixing anything else on the 80 series. So we've done a few little bits and pieces in the interior, nothing to really sort of shout home about. That'll basically coming in a couple of future episodes. Maybe we'll take you guys through what we've done in the interior. I'll try to do a video in a sort of like a package where you have more substance to it, not just, oh, we've done a CB install, that's what we've done. And hence why I haven't showed you like the roof rack install, things like that is very relatively simple. Just want to give you sort of the end product from start. There's a lot of videos out there that guys are doing on installations and how things go together on so many different products, so I don't want to flood YouTube any more than what it needs to be. If you guys have any suggestions or comments, please let me know. The support so far on the 80 has been fantastic. It has been a huge impact on both my channel and on Instagram, and in terms of driving around compared to the Ranger, what a difference. The character and everything about the 80 series is amazing, just the whole experience, and I think I mentioned that in the previous episode as well. It's very difficult to try and express that or explain that to someone until you physically get behind the wheel of a solid axle 80 series that can basically, you just point it and it goes. So yes, I am enjoying the 80 series very, very much. So thank you very much for watching, getting this far in the video, and I will definitely see you in the next one.